Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to the consent calendar?
Second.
Call roll.
Commissioner Spiggers.
Aye.
Garvers.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Larson.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Are there any visitors to be heard tonight? State your name, your social security number.
Checking account. Credit card.
Nothing in it after Christmas tree sales. Todd Gannon, Chairman of the Pool Committee. So I want to come down, answer any questions about any of the change orders that have taken place. And then also, I have a sheet here, I'll give you a minute to walk through kind of the total finances of the project, what the Pool Committee's provided, where we're at. I know it's always been bits and pieces. So I spent the better part of this afternoon kind of putting everything together for you so you can just get a better idea of what we spent, where the money came from, who raised the money we've saved, the money we've spent, things like that. But before I do that, I know there's been questions about some of the change orders. And if it's normal, how many change orders we normally have. So the original, I'll start off and I'll open up to questions. The original budget for the pool had a 6% contingency fund, which is essentially calling for, we could see up to 6% in change orders. This is very common in projects, whether it's you're building a house. I don't know of anybody that's ever built a house that's come in under budget, or I helped build the PAC for the school district, and we had significant number of change orders there too. I've been involved in major street projects, sewer projects among other communities, and we've had significant change orders there as well. So to see change orders generally up to 10% is very common in projects. You obviously don't like to see them. They're not always fun to see, but it's part of building, whether it's private or in government. You're going to see change orders. And I would say, I think most engineers would agree, but if you're under 10%, that's solid. That's good. You've done a good job in managing the project. The original budget for the pool was 8% when we were originally putting the budget together and trying to make pieces fit financially. We did trim it down to 6%, trying to say, well, we're going to be really careful with 6%. Now, you said a budget, that was just like planning how much the city should have. And that also goes into if you hire a general contractor, that contingency budget can be part of a general contractor package. Now, if you remember, the city did not hire a general contractor or a project manager, right? We pieced the bid out to try to save money, and I'll walk through it was still by far a very intelligent, smart thing to do. We saved, and I'll walk through it, over $1 million doing that. So very smart thing to do. But what happened too, when you do that, is that 6% say contingency that's built into a budget for a general contractor is eliminated, because now you're just hiring the pieces done. So you still kind of have to assume, well, we could have 6, 8, 10%. The change orders for the project total 4.5%. So I did all the math today, figured everything out. So we're well under that. So, and you say, well, who was the general contractor? We didn't have a general contractor. Essentially, the pool committee stepped in and filled those shoes as a general contractor, overseeing the project, making the phone calls, answering questions with contractors, with a significant amount of assistance from Burbach, the engineers, Burbach Aquatics, as well as Kyle, who helped us manage a lot of the finances. So there's no way as a committee we would be able to do it on our own. We were also lucky to have some contractors that we hired in Schwartzley and Helm that were very agreeable and willing to work with us and answer some of the questions I had when I didn't understand things. Maybe a general contractor would just know. They were fantastic. Even the electricians, Kemp Electric, people like that, they were fantastic to work with and help us get this project done. So we ended up at 4.5% change orders. I mean, as a city, as a pool committee, Kyle's part in it, we should be proud of that. That's really good. We should be patting ourselves on the back for that. I mean, honestly. Now, could some of the change orders have been avoided? yeah, there's a case to say they could have been avoided in that we should have seen some of those things coming. Yeah, but if we would have seen them coming, they would have been in the original project cost. So we were gonna pay for them either way. Your original cost would have been more and the change orders would have been less. Some of the things were not avoidable, we had to do. And so things like the pier depth for the pool. Now, you're guessing how deep those piers have to be. The engineers are guessing where they're gonna hit bedrock based on a series of core samples. And then when you actually put out the bid, you literally put out, and you accepted a bid that said it's X amount of dollars per additional foot, and it's also X amount of dollars if we dig less in those piers. They had to dig slightly more, not a lot, it was actually pretty close, but it's a small change order there. That was one of them, I think that was the first one we saw. And there was a number of others you guys have all discussed. Instead of going through them one by one, I guess I'd rather answer any questions you have about them publicly. I'll do my best to answer them. Okay. I know I talked to a couple of you on I do want to address one on the shutters and the windows. And I think I was able to get hold of you, Paul. Chris, I wasn't able to connect back with you. I had a question out to me. So I'll just go out through the shutter one. There's probably two that were probably two concerning ones. The first one was a water heater. When it was designed in the CAD program, the specs for the water heater showed that it would fit in a certain space. The CAD program essentially had the measurements for the water tank itself, not the valves and the wiring and everything that goes into it. Meaning the water heater footprint was actually bigger than what the CAD program showed it as. So we had to swap that out with tankless water heaters. You want to point fingers? I mean, you can point fingers at the CAD program. The CAD program belongs to the engineers. So ultimately, the engineers said, I guess that's on us. And they actually are crediting the city the amount for that swap out. So that's one where you can say there was a true mistake made. I think it's an honest mistake. I mean, the engineers can't go around and measure physically every item that's going to go in the project. They have to rely on their software. Their software was wrong, and they ate the cost on that. So to me, that one's we don't have to worry about that. We didn't pay any extra for it. It's nicer, neater, cleaner to have those tankless. It's actually more efficient for the city. So all said and done, the engineer's mistake there didn't cost us any money. We got a better product out of it. The next one is the other one I know there's been some questions on are the metal shutters, roller shutters for the FEMA grant. Prior bathhouses that have been built for FEMA prior to 2020, when you put in concession windows, you could do a hurricane grade concession window, and FEMA accepted that. We have a standard window that doesn't open, that's hurricane grade that FEMA accepts. So when the building was designed prior to 2020, we've been at this for 8 years now. So when this building was designed, it was built and designed to FEMA spec. FEMA went and changed those specs on the concession windows and said the hurricane grade concession window is no longer tornado grade. It got missed. We can say the engineers goofed that up. That's fine. We hired them to advise us, consult, and make sure that got right. So they missed that. Interestingly enough, the standard window that doesn't open, hurricane grade, that's still tornado grade by FEMA standards, but the concession hurricane grade is not. But that's dealing with the federal government, nothing we're gonna fix here. So the fix is, what FEMA says, no, you have to put metal roller shutters on the outsides of those windows to protect. So the engineer said, okay, we gotta put those on. So had the building been designed with those metal shutters originally, we were still paying for them. We weren't gonna get them for free. The original, we just would have had the cost of those shutters included. Now it's a change order. Also remind you, FEMA's paying for 80% of all of that stuff. So FEMA's paying for 80% of the $18,000 metal shutters. So really our cost is only $3,600. We were gonna have to pay it the entire time. The question came is, did we pay for hurricane grade concession windows also? So then we would have kind of been double billed. We bought hurricane grade concession windows that the engineer said to put in. They don't do the job. Now we have to put additional on. So really what we're on the hook for is the difference in standard windows versus hurricane windows, and really only 20% of that difference, because he was paying for 80% of both. So I did some digging. I met with Paul and Chris, and they asked me to kind of find out what we paid for, what we got, are we double covered as far as safety in there, how much we paid. So I did some digging, and what I found out was Viking Glass, when they bid the project originally to Schwartzley, screwed up and bid us standard concession windows. They did not even bid us hurricane windows. When they found that out, they decided to eat that cost of the hurricane windows. And they said, we're going to give you the hurricane windows for what you bid. So what we paid for originally was standard concession stand, commercial concession stand windows. What we would have had to put in, regardless of the FEMA standard, or if we were known of the FEMA standards for the metal shutters. As I dug more into it, I said, okay, so do we have the hurricane windows? Well, then when Viking Glass found out that we had to put the metal shutters in, they actually installed non-hurricane grade glass. The frames are the hurricane grade because they already have them in order. They installed standard glass in the concession stand because they said, well, that's actually all we bid, and they're going to have the metal shutters, so we don't need them. Out of the goodness of their heart, as I was just asking questions and probing, and really Dan from Schwartzley, who's been fantastic to work with, was kind of pushing on them. They volunteered up and said, what would you like us to come put in the impact resistant hurricane grade glass for free? My response was, yeah, why are you going to say no to a better product for free? So ultimately, it's a really long story to say that because of the engineer's mistake on that, and we call it a mistake, that's fine. We're not paying any extra money, and we're actually getting a better product. So in both cases where I can say that the engineers point and say, yeah, you guys maybe kind of goofed up here. You know, on a $7 million project, we can point to two things that maybe they didn't go real well or that they made mistakes on. We actually come out financially better with a better product. So I mean, those were kind of the two that I know were kind of sticking points for everybody who had questions about. Any other questions of what I explained?
Can you just touch on the other three things, because I think there was 5 of them.
Okay, yeah, so one of the other ones was the grade of the sidewalk. When we visited, after design of the project, visiting with city staff and looking at emergency access as well as chemicals, an additional driveway was added to the project, which kind of changed the grade of where the sidewalk, how much sidewalk had to be removed. And essentially they had to remove an additional amount of sidewalk, I can't remember the exact footage, to make sure that we were ADA compliant in our grade of the sidewalk. So essentially when they cut it back, instead of the sidewalk going sharp, out of grade, and then gradual, they had cut back to here and make it a long gradual slope. As far as sidewalks, pool decks, concrete, and projects like this, addition and deletion is very, very common because you don't know all of these things or these things that are going to change. So it's literally in the bid, you know, cost for additional decking or sidewalk or removal of it. It's all laid out in advance. It's not something you negotiate after because it's so common that you might have to pour a little extra sidewalk, or you might pour a little less sidewalk, or a little more pool deck, or a little less pool deck. Very common. So it's spelled out in the bid exactly what you'll pay so that the contractor can't come in and say, oh, I'm going to charge you $80 a square foot or something ridiculous for that sidewalk. You're paying what you pay for the rest of it. So that's what happened with the sidewalk. You know, could it have been caught in the survey? Hard to say because originally we weren't removing any of that sidewalk when the survey was done because we weren't putting that extra driveway in. So it wasn't surveyed over there. So our survey was donated to us and they went off our site plan of where we were going to build the pool and we weren't going to mess with the sidewalk. So I'm guessing it wasn't surveyed because you're not going to survey things that we're saying we're not going to touch that. So don't worry about it. We ended up touching it. To add those additional driveways to make it easier. And I think that one was about $4,000, Kyle, is that?
So
About $4,000. That was that one. What were the, I'm trying to, I got some.
I don't have it in front of me, but I think there was 5 things.
floor coating.
Oh, the floor paint, I mean, so the change order on the floor paint, the pool committee, when we accepted the bid, when we actually When we exercised state bid laws, because we only had one bid from Schwartzley, we could actually go into negotiations with Schwartzley. And they opened up their bid line by line, item by item. This is how much each item costs. In an effort to get the project underway so that inflation didn't outpace our fundraising, we said, let's get built what we have to have, and let's cut out what we can, basically bolt on, things we can do later, things the pool committee can do, things we can add later. So one of those things, some of those things that were cut would be bathroom partitions were cut. We're like, we can install those later. We don't have to have those to get underway. The other thing that was ticking was that some of our grant timelines too. We needed to accept bids so we didn't lose, close to $2 million in grants. Paint for the walls was cut. One of the things we didn't realize is we cut paint. We also cut paint for the floor. Not a big deal, but that was cut out of that. Toilet paper dispenser, baby changing tables, things like that were removed from the original bid to get the cost down, saying we can do these later. The play structure was removed. The water walk was removed. The diving boards were removed. So not only did we remove those to save money, we also removed those and saved contractor markup on them, which was a big savings. We also removed them and saved the engineering fees on those. Even though the engineers actually did all the work for all those things, they're not charging them for us. They helped us pick the water walk, design the water walk and pick it, the play structure, the diving boards, specking the appropriate paint, specking the measurements for the partitions. The engineers did all that, and they're actually not getting paid for it. They're just trying to help us get the project done. But back to the floor paint, so paint was removed. It became apparent that if the floor is not painted come this spring when we open, it's a serious liability and danger. Because when we say paint, it's painted with a non-slip coating or a slip-resistant abrasive material in the paint. And so what was presented to the city and what you guys accepted was like, you know what? If the walls aren't painted this spring, we still open the pool. Like, that's not a big deal. It's not as pretty as we want it to look, but not a big deal. I'll let you know that we actually are moving and the balls will be painted. The pool committee's gonna take care of that. But at the time, as it was getting cold out, it was decided, let's get the floors painted so that come spring, we can safely open the pool even if the walls aren't painted. Because if you guys have ever seen kids run on high gloss finished concrete with wet feet, it won't end well if we don't have some type of coating there. So that was the paint one. Okay.
Heating.
What's that? Oh, the heat. The other one, that was the fifth one. The winter heat. So some of the things too, when we removed the general contractor aspect of the bid, which saved us, and I'll show you here in just a minute, about $1 million. Some of the things that went with it that were included in the general contractor piece was like a porta potty. So you guys pay for a porta potty. Not a huge cost, but a cost. Dumpster, trash dumpster. City paid for that. Not a huge cost, but a cost. You guys had to do snow removal in the parking lot, some man hours. So small thing, you're saying, we saved $1 million. Pretty fair trade-off to do some of those things. But one of probably the biggest single line item in doing that was winter heat, to heat the mechanical building. So the pool committee built the mechanical building. Well, when we built the mechanical building, they had to have it heated so they could do all the plumbing and everything inside. So it had to be heated for the winter. And that would have fallen under the general contractor's obligation. And that's why the general contractor was gonna put like $1 million in their pocket to do all this stuff. So the heat, and actually Schwartzley, they brought all the equipment, lined it up, and did it for cost for us on the winter heat. So they worked with us. Dan was fantastic on that. And I think that was $8,000 or $9,000. 9,000, yeah. So I think those are the 5 most recent that there were some questions about. So, I mean, as a whole, our experience with the engineers has been fantastic. Did they have 2 kind of hoops? Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty good personally in my experience in these projects, and they cost us nothing. There were things we were gonna have to pay for either, and we ended up with a better product because of it. And in addition, I mean, the contractor, when we cut out the general contractor piece, it's about $1 million, and then the things the pool committee has purchased or will purchase, which is about another $500,000, so it's about $1.5 million. that the engineer is not gonna get their service fee on that they normally would have had we just accepted the project. And they've never once complained. They answer my calls and they help us with all the things, even though they're not getting paid on that. They've never said, take a hike, Todd, you didn't buy the $300,000 play structure, $260,000, I think it was, play structure through the contract that we get to collect a fee on, so we're not gonna help you. They've been the exact opposite and been very, very helpful in all of those things. Even when we swapped out the diving boards and they had to redesign the footings for the diving boards and stuff, because we went with a cheaper diving board from what we originally had. Will still function the same, it's just was considerable savings to us. They redesigned, re-engineered the platforms and the bolts and everything, did all the measurements, figured that all out, and they're not getting a fee on that either. I will give you guys these and walk through this real quick. All right, so what you have in front of you is kind of the funding package of the pool. So we start in the left-hand corner, and this is really where the funding for the pool came from as a whole, on the city side, where the city funds came from. So the South Dakota FIT was actually the original bond that was passed, a $2.8 million bond. Interest from South Dakota FIT, that's an estimate, that's probably an old estimate, it's probably higher than that. But that was the original estimate, maybe 200,000 that we got interest on that 2.8 million. So as soon as we got that bond, Kyle didn't just put that in a checking account or 1% yielding account. We went into South Dakota FIT, which is essentially a interest earning account for projects like this, where municipalities can put money and earn interest on them. Sales tax revenue bond of 1.1 million. South Dakota Land and Water Grant, 400,000. You can see the two original FEMA grants totaling about 816,000. And then there were 67,000 of pledges that the pool committee went out and garnered, received, or got commitments for that actually went straight to the city, didn't come to us, which is just fine. Some people were more comfortable writing the check to the city, so we're happy to provide them that. Additional FEMA grant, federal and state. So this comes from conversations that myself and Kyle and the mayor had with FEMA and the state director of FEMA, basically saying that this project has inflated significantly through COVID, which they agreed, yeah, we actually have a bunch of projects that were canceled, he said, because of it. So we have extra money. So we begged for extra money and they gave us almost $700,000 more on that grant. Then there was the $136,000 that the committee just wrote a check to the city for. Part of that was to pay for the foundation of the mechanical building, and then the other part was just $70,000 to say, here you go. You know, we know there's some other expenses you're incurring, so we handed over a bunch of money. And then we did switch the roof out to a flat roof at FEMA. So FEMA gave us another $19,000 to do that. That's part of that 80-20 match on the flat roof switch out. Below that, so that's where the funds are coming to the city. Below that, you can see things the pool committee has spent their money on so far. We got the mechanical building, the foundation, funds to you guys, permanent fencing, paint, bathroom partitions, the diving boards. You see the toddler slide we haven't done yet. We're planning to do that. The water walk, the large play structure. So all said and done, the committee spent about $600,000 on this project through specific purchases or money given to the city. On the right-hand side, you'll see the base city project costs. So the original bid accepted was for bids 1 and 2, which have been the pool and mechanical. That was accepted the first, for probably the second or third bids. But we accepted from Helm Mechanical, basically to build the pool vessel and all the mechanical. That was $3.975 million. So just shy of $4 million. Then through the negotiation process with Schwartzley on the the FEMA grade bathhouse, we accepted $1.976 million, for, just shy of $2 million on that one. So the original base cost of the project for the city's $5.9 million. Now, right below that, I have the original bid, the last bid we got from Christensen Brothers that would have served as a general contractor. So you can compare that 5.9 by not having a general contractor. So the base bid for the city not having a general contractor is 5.9. The original bid was just over $7 million. Now, okay, we said 6.8, but that didn't include the 6-foot swimming lane expansion that we took. So that's why it's actually over 7 million. Because we had to add that in from that bid. So Christensen Brothers said, we'll serve as a general. You don't have to worry about heat. You don't have to worry about plowing, dumpsters, snow removal. And your pool committee can just sit back and watch this get done. But you'll pay us $7 million. The city went a different route and said, we'll do it for 5.9. So by having the committee serve as a general contractor, you can see there's a savings of over $1 million, $1,063,000 was saved. Below that is the total change orders of $274,000. So even, I don't know how it would apply. I believe you would have paid those regardless because of the way all the bids are structured. But even if you want to say, if we would have had a general contractor, if somebody wants to say, you should have went with a general contractor because we wouldn't have had change orders, well, you still would have been almost $800,000 worse off. But legally, I don't see any way you would have avoided really any of these change orders either way. So you're really about over $1 million better off. And I have down there broke down what the change orders were to Helm to Schwartzley. And then below that, I just have broke down the pool committee contributions to the project. I think a lot of people have donated. We're very thankful for all the donation and support that the community has given the pool committee. And so people can really see and understand what the pool committee has actually done with all that support. So we've given $203,000 to the city directly, just in checks or having our donations that we receive go directly to the city. The pool committee has been instrumental and worked with Kyle and CCOG and city staff. It's kind of been a joint, and the engineers, kind of as a team, we secured $1.9 million in grants. And we won't take all the credit for that, but I don't think anybody can take all the credit. I don't think we would have got those grants if it wasn't for everybody involved. It took everybody to get that done. The pool committee has spent $464,000 just on purchases of actual items or completion of projects on the project. And then the savings, when you guys decided, okay, we're not gonna have a general contractor, we're gonna have the pool committee serve as the general contractor and field all these calls and line all this stuff up and, spend 2 years really diving into this project, save the city over $1 million. So there you can see the total value added by the nonprofit pool committee that the community has so graciously supported to this project is about $3.6 million that the pool committee members have provided to this project. And we couldn't have done it without the community. There's only 10 of us. We've worked our tails off, but we've had a phenomenal backing from the community that has helped us and assisted us everywhere they could. And we really are appreciative of them.
Any questions for Todd?
Good evening, Mitch Mergen. I'm with Stockwell Engineers. I was just here tonight to express interest in you guys' RFQ that you have out for engineering services. And Kyle prepped me a little bit before the meeting. Sounds like you guys are still working through the smells that you received, and look forward to hearing from you guys as far as who you select and how you go forward with that. So again, just wanted to express our interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, we'll move on. There is no old business. And under new business, we have the 2025 salary resolution. The state statute requires the commission set by resolution the list of compensation of officers of the city of Canton. The resolution is based on implementing the approved step and grade system. The resolution reflects a 2.6 cost of living adjustment for all employees, as well as the one step on the one step and grade system. for employees who had a positive evaluation. New wages will go into effect on the first paycheck of 2025. And a little background on this, on November 18th, the COLA adjustment was approved. So a motion is required to approve the 2025 salary resolution and to authorize my signature.
So move.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? That one, roll.
Commissioners Garbers,
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Larson.
Aye.
Biggers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next on the agenda is the 2025 health insurance renewal. The city budgeted 15% for a rate increase in premiums for city staff in the 2025 budget. After getting final numbers, the proposed 2025 rate increase is 6.57%. The plans are through our current agent, Jordan Vogt, and are staying with Wellmark. Changes to the PPO plan are as follows. There are no changes in the PPO plan. And changes to the HSA plan are as follows. Individuals deductible increase by $500, and that would be to $6,000, equal to be $6,000. And family deductible increases by $1,000, and that would be $12,000 total. A motion is required to approve the renewal and authorize Kyle's signature.
Move.
Second.
We have 2 seconds. Is there any questions or discussion? Not, you gonna call roll?
Commissioners York.
Aye.
Larson.
Aye.
Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is the 2025 HSA contribution. To even out the cost of the HSA and the PPO plan, the city has been contributing to employees' HSA accounts. Currently, we are contributing $14.01 per pay period. Based on the numbers, it is being recommended to increase the contribution for 2025 to $25.46. Motion is required to set this. Any questions before?
We're increasing that because of insurance costing more?
Insurance costs more. Wellmark does, years ago, they did a composite rate, so it was one lump sum. That's all you saw. And now Wellmark is age-based, so every 4 or 5 years you get into a new category. And the way we comprised it is we take everybody, put them on the PPO plan, and everybody put them on the HSA plan. And that kind of winds up being our difference for the $25.46.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Now you wanna call roll?
Commissioners Larson.
Aye.
Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is the audit engagement agreement, that's ELO, CPAs and advisors. ELO, CPAs and advisors have submitted their audit engagement letter for the annual audit for the year ending December 31st, 2024. They are anticipating the fees to be approximately $17,000. If significant additional time is necessary, they will discuss it with the city before incurring additional costs. And this requires a motion and second to accept.
Motion.
Is this just for the financial audit?
Yeah, we do a yearly one. That way if we make any mistakes, it's caught instead of going to every other year.
Second.
A motion and a second. If there's no questions, call roll.
Commissioners Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Larson.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Next is the Canton Township structure replacement. Colin Kelly, project engineer with IMAG for Canton Township, has submitted the bid summary sheet for the structure replacement from the bid opening on December 12th. And the award recommendation letter for the city. The low bidder was Alliance Construction of Sioux Falls, and for a bid total of amount of $324,073.62. The city of Canton is responsible for the Schedule B portion of the work, which amounts $55,747.78. Is this just for the engineers or that total work?
That's the total work.
Okay,
What is that number? Engineer portion, or is that
No,
moving the utility?
That's 55,000 moved utilities. Alliance is gonna be moving.
They came
utilities.
back that we're 100% responsible for that total?
I think I
So we're
they kind of originally pushed it all on us, but I think now they're gonna take it as a full project. So, because I know, Brad Dietzenbach had emailed myself and Myron and said, hey, get us those, bills, for your engineering work for this portion, and the township will pay for it. So I think it's gonna be a lump sum project divided in half. Is my understanding.
So it could be less than that.
Well, that's the cost to do the utilities, but the township's gonna take on half of it as part of the complete structure. Does that make sense?
Half of this 55,000.
Yeah.
So that's not it's not our responsibility.
No, but it was set up that way originally.
The bill will come to us and then we will receive a reimbursement from the township.
That hasn't been worked out, whether it's we're gonna pay it or they're gonna pay it, and then we're gonna pay them once everything's shaken out. So fine details have not been worked out yet. But in order for us to move forward, since it was a separate item, they wanted us to approve it tonight.
Make a motion to pass it with further discussions to see if we can get a better deal.
do you want this table?
I don't know if I want to table it, I just rather, as part of that, and it sounded to me that they were willing to take the $324,000, add in the total engineering cost from both engineers, and the 55,000. The township is gonna get a RIF grant, roughly 80% of their 50%.
Yep, and
So let's just say everything added up to 400,000.
Our share would be 200.
Our share total was 200,000.
Yep. And that's kind of my understanding of how it's gonna go, but when they put the bid package out, they put this on as B. Myron did all the engineering for it. So originally the township said that utilities are yours, but now they're kind of saying, yeah, it should be part of the project, so. Sounds like they're gonna have it as the whole project and split it down the middle when it's all done.
That's the way I took it too.
Yep.
This is just a little bit misleading, but to keep going, if that's what you want us to pass,
Just to award it to them.
motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll.
Commissioners Garbers.
Aye.
York.
Aye.
Larson. Aye. Biggers.
Aye.
Mayor Lundstrom.
Aye. Last item on the agenda is first reading for ordinance amending the water rates. South Lincoln Rural Water has increased the bulk water rate charged to the city. South Lincoln Rural Water has not increased the rates for the bulk water since the contract was first signed, and how long ago was that?
2017.
Okay, 2017. The bulk water rate has increased, but the increase was never added to the city's rate. The overall adjustment of the rates would be $1.10 per 1,000 gallons. South Lincoln Rural Water is willing to break the increase over 2 years, and there is an anticipated small rate change for 2026 as well. If this ordinance is given a first reading, the second reading will take place on January 6th. It will then be published on January 16th and effective on February 4th. The rate would take effect on March 1st bill, which includes water usage from January 21st through February 20th.
Yeah, the proposed rate is about 40 cents per 100 cubic feet. It's kind of how it penciled out. So a family of 4, that runs about 700 cubic feet, would be about $2.80 a month additional. Just for reference. We're one of the, I don't know about few, but it seems like we're one of the few that runs in cubic feet versus gallons.
So this just needs a motion for the first reading.
Motion.
We have a motion, so,
So we,
okay, that concludes the agenda. So now Commissioner dialogue, anything, Jackie?
Just everyone have a safe and happy holidays.
Chris?
Oh, and a water main break on Friday?
Dennis, are you able to take the mic for a second?
Yeah.
I just wanna basically tell you, thank you for your hard work all night long and less than 24 hours that was back up and running.
Yeah.
So you guys found the break, 3 hours later, got the place dug up and cleaned up and next to the high school like that, I was concerned, when he called me and told me we had a water main break at, was that 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I was like, oh boy, where at? I mean, I didn't get any complaints from school buses or anything, so just want to say thanks.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Dennis. Anything else?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I have
okay.
nothing.
Tyler? Okay, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Stay warm, although it's not gonna be cold out. So
I have one quick thing.
you have the floor.
The commission had given me their ranked engineering firms. I have put them into a tally sheet. We have a number 1 and a number 2, and we have a tied 3 and 4. So do we want to interview 4 firms? Okay. And do we know when we want to do that? Our time frames are short.
That would, just because there's a lot going on in the next couple of weeks, and I don't know how quick we want it done, but we're gonna have to work with Alicia because her schedule's kind of full with interviews and stuff too. So,
And we can wait until January. Usually the first meeting in January, appoint the city engineer. But we probably won't have a ton of the slurry seal of engineering until a little bit later, so.
So we're
Take a
going
look at-
to special meeting and then go into exec, or what are we doing?
Yep, that's kind of.
So our first meeting in January is
The 6th.
6. So I guess maybe I'm suggesting like this 8th or
Executive session, South Dakota Codified Law -25-2 for legal.
Motion to enter executive. No,
No.
according to the-
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Roll.
Commissioner York.
Aye.
Larson. Aye. Biggers.
Aye.
Garbers.
Aye.
Mayor Lindstrom.
Aye. Thank you.